Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your boy, the SeanDavieWay Show. Please hit that like and subscribe on the way in and tap that bell if you would like to be notified of all of our future content. Today, I bring you a surviving Jaguar Wright. On Coffee, the app KOFI or website, you can view all of the parts of the interview that I did with Sam Odom Jr., which is none other than Jaguar Wright's biological son. Sam Jr. is an adult. He is over the age of 21. He is not a child. He's not a teenager. He's none of those things. He is a grown man. And Sam and I have built rapport over the years when I was friends with his mother, Jaguar Wright. And we decided to have a conversation. And he breaks down his life from what he remembers from when he was a child to now. This interview was conducted this year, and all 4 parts of it is on Coffee, KOFI, if you would like to check out the rest of the interview. I am not here to bash Jaguar Wright. If you listen to the interview, you can even tell in my questioning that I was not trying to turn a son against his mother. I think that is evil. All I wanted Sam to do was display his experience from his perception and not hers. Jaguar did a lot of talking for Sam, so it was nice to hear him say what he felt without her presence so that he didn't feel intimidated to express himself in a way that may show her in a great light, but it not be his full truth. He got to tell his full truth. So I love you all. I hope you enjoy. Again, if you pay attention to my line of questioning and how I speak to Sam, this was no way, shape, or form a bashing of Jaguar Wright nor her parenting. Just a simple interview about a young man, about his life with his mother. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and March Monster Madness. I hope you are enjoying thus far. We are on episode 2. Again, welcome, and thank you so much for all of your continuous support. Recently, we did 2 interviews or conversations with Sam Jr. This is the update of me speaking with Sam, speaking on everything that has transpired. So when Sam is talking in this interview, he's talking after the first 2 times that we had a conversation. So it's kind of like a full circle moment, like everything that transpired, he gets to talk about it in a sum instead of event to event to event, because with Jaguar is a never ending story. As soon as you say something, she says something. So you will be responding for the rest of your life if you leave it up to her. Sam Jr. is ready to leave the circus. We both agreed. Now, I say we both agreed, meaning that I will not try to speak to Sam about these matters. I will keep in contact with Sam, but it won't be him being in the monster house anymore with the monster Jaguar Wright. He wants peace. He wants to just go back to the life that he has. He's doing well, and we want that for him. So I agree. If he's ready to exit, he gets to do just that. So this will be our final interview with Sam. As of now, I mean, who knows what the future holds in a year or 2 or, 3, who knows? Maybe he'll be willing to sit down again and talk when updates come about. But as of right now, Sam just wants peace. He just wants to go back to the plain good existence that he has, and we are not against that. So again, shout out to Sam Jr. We truly appreciate him. We talk about a lot. We really don't leave any stones unturned. It gets pretty spicy. So welcome to part 1 of this final interview with Sam Jr. as he leaves the monster house.
Hey.
Hey, Sam. Sorry I missed your call. I was bringing in groceries.
Oh, okay.
How are you?
Doing good. I finally just got back home. Busy day at work today.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Oh, pretty good. It was a special event weekend. This seemed like an avenue that bettered myself. It's given me confidence that I haven't had in many years, really. Since a lot of the things that I've gotten, I've always had someone else there who was there to help me along or get me those things.
Yeah.
And I understand that if this is the path that you don't necessarily agree with, and you may have that stance, but I want to continue along this path. But what was supposed to be ultimately a calm event to try and break things down, help convey my stance on things, and amicably move on from the situation. And if it just so happened to be recorded, to let others behind the phone know that I'm glad that everyone who's wondering how I'm doing knows that I'm doing well and that they're happy for me. But I ultimately want the situation to finally die down and move on from this.
Yeah, I think
There's quite a few of us in the family. There are some who are still. Me and my dad primarily are the only ones who would say some things if we're asked to say clarify something, or not some detail that people want to clear up. I'm willing to do so. I'm one for breaking down the situation and saying what it actually is, rather than blowing out of proportion. And if there's anyone else who say you think needs details, you want details from in order to hit the death nail on the situation, truth of the matter is they don't want to be involved with the situation anymore. And the reason why is not because they don't want to, but mainly because for many in the family, we've already hit that death nail a while ago, and we've already buried the coffin.
Yeah. Well, I think out of everyone, I think you were the last one. I think like your aunt and the other aunts, like your,
yeah, pretty much everyone else in the family was basically done with it. They knew the state my mom was in, and they were going to leave it as such. I was basically the last person to catch on, mainly because I was the one who was most willing to give the benefit of the doubt out of love, and, well, not only being her son, but also because I was also the youngest and pretty much in the center of all of this for the most part. Or at the very least, I was in a very crucial position of it, and I couldn't exactly know what to make a statement because I was so involved in it for so long, and it started when I was very young. But what was ultimately supposed to be a conversation in a calm manner ended up devolving into a state where, for the first time in my life,
fortunate that your mom turns it into that. You just saying your experience is now used as, oh, well, you're talking mean on me and saying all these bad things and these things that aren't true and stuff like that. And it's like, no, that's her minimizing your experience. And I think with your newfound confidence, you've gotten to a point to where you will no longer let anyone, not just her, anyone minimize your experience.
Yes.
And so I want to say that this is not drama. She turns it into drama. You saying just simply what you remember and recounting your past is not you stirring the pot. It's not you trying to be malicious or kick her while she's down. That it's not that at all. It's just simply you having to clarify because she's been speaking for you for so long. And it's exhausting when you can't even recollect a lot of things that she's saying because they aren't true. And I think that's where your battle was, is that you didn't want to view her as a liar, but you didn't have a choice, because once you know something, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. It just go away. You can't go back to, at 12:03 you thought this, and now at 12:05 you know this. You don't get to go back to 12:03. It's happened.
Once something has been spoken and committed to memory, that will remain.
Yes, and your past is the same thing. Your experience is the same thing. It is embedded in your brain. So she doesn't get to take that away because she regrets her decisions. She wished she made different decisions. So in her delusion, she makes it seem as if you had a different upbringing than what you actually had to soothe her. It does not soothe you.
Right.
So I just wanted to put that out there, that I don't want you to feel like you telling your story is you trying to cause chaos and confusion. No, it's not at all. You want to create an understanding, because there is so much chaos and confusion around this, and being away from someone as an adult, you get to think of things differently. You reminiscing and thinking about your past is different than how you did when you were around her, because you were being manipulated and gaslit. That's not happening anymore. Like Samas, do you like being called Samas? Did you want your name changed to that?
No. No. All it ever was just a clever thing that I did for my Cash App to try and be nice and cool with it, make it a mirror reflection, because, hey, that's a little thing, it's like a calling card of mine, if you will. But referring to it as a name, first things first, it's not really all that good of a name, to be honest. It's only good when you read it in text and not when you say it. I was willing to tolerate it because, hey, it was a cool thing, but nowadays, not really. And secondly, especially if you consider global circumstances nowadays, just saying it's one letter off from something that I'd rather not like to get into because I do not like talking about those situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. So the name Samas, you prefer your name Samuel over Samas?
Yes, I prefer, of all the nicknames that I've had, or all of the identities that I'd like to be reviewed as, Samas is not one that I generally consider myself resonating with in any form. Either Samuel, or, I guess it's going to be first for people, Soronexo.
Interesting. Where does that derive?
Well, that derives from a combination of things, mainly stemming from things that I have created. Mm-hmm. Being the fusion of one of the very first creators original characters that I've made in a passion project writing story of mine that involving a character that I made way back in 2016. Not 2016, maybe 2015, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And as well as old Twitch identity, as well as a Twitch username that I spawned from my mind. I effectively mashed them together and turned them into an alias that is rather obscure, one that nobody would ever really think of unless it became some sort of big name in all of this.
So all that matters is that you want that as your identity. You shouldn't be acknowledged by anything other than what you want to be acknowledged and labeled as. So that's why I brought that to your attention, because she does say often that you don't like being referred to any other name than Samas. And I'm like, well, Sam never said that to me. And honestly, that name, I knew that it came more so because I remember from your Cash App. And that was a really kind of dark time for you, like with everything that had happened with school and going back to her and everything that happened at the house and getting evicted again and all of that stuff. I'm like, I really don't think that he wants to be connected to that name. So that's why I asked, because I just in all honesty, don't like to be connected to the name. And secondly, I think I may consider changing the card at some point. Well, one, for those reasons, but more specifically mainly because there's in an attempt to do some research, I may have fallen for someone's trick and gotten them on a Cash App card. I mean, I have a checking card now, so doesn't matter much to me. And considering I can change it, what do you mean by a trick? Was there someone using your Cash App or something?
Oh no, there was no one using my Cash App. It was just that basically to keep it vague, but to describe the situation. Mm-hmm. I was trying to look up ways how to do better on the math test, and considering around the time, this is around say September and October, if you will. And if you remember the stuff happening with me at the time, I think you know which type of test I'm talking about. Yeah. Tried to look online for any extra information to maybe help me outside of it being, a math test, since it was also the destined that came from Dad too. I figured, add this together, more information the better. So I tried to look for information, and all I got were either dead ends, fake sites that led to something else and charge my Cash App for, which I barely have any money for. So for everyone else who is not donating, don't worry. I do not mean it in any bad. I don't take it in any bad way. Keep your money the way it is. If you wish to donate, that's just fine. Just don't do it just yet, because there's some sites that are trying to get some money out of me, and they're failing because I don't have any money in there in the first place. And
okay, I would like to start putting up, because a lot of people ask me for your Cash App. I just didn't know if it was compromised or not, because your mom put up your Cash App too, so I was confused. I'm like, well, if she put up Sam's Cash App to try to get money from him, and so like we were confused.
No, it's not compromised from any person that's known in the situation. Just a troll site that's trying to get money out of me and seeing for something that wasn't even of any value.
Mm-hmm. So are you going to change it or get a new one?
I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it. Don't have any other reason not to prolong it at this point. And I'll let you in particular know outside a call what I decide the new Cash App to be.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, just I do want it when you do change it, because a lot of people do want to look out for you, just to send you something they see you're doing really good, and they just want to make sure that you have any assistance that they can offer. They want to offer. They want to help in any way they can, even if it's just something simple that you've been having a goal to try to accomplish and whatnot. Just like me, I'm the same way. So I do have a team.
Got it.
And we all want to look out for you. We just weren't sure about the Cash App name and whatnot, because she still promotes it and stuff like that. So people are very standoffish because she keeps connecting herself to it. So if you changed it, I think people will be really happy about that and really look out.
Yeah.
So the last conversation you had with her, you just wanted to call and get some clarity. At this point, you said you're like the rest of your family. You're closing the door on it until it settles, or just in general?
In general, really. I'm willing to offer information until the entire thing settles down, but outside of just giving out some extra details that help simmer things down and straighten things, I'm basically done with the situation. I don't want to be involved with it. I don't want to partake in any nonsense, because frankly, it gets very taxing when someone hyperbolizes things and blows things out of proportion.
No, you're right. It's best to just walk away within that point, because with a person like that, there is no winning. Like, it's just exhausting. You know, it's just a never-ending story. A back and forth, a back and forth, a back and forth. So it would take someone sane in the situation to just walk away in order for it to be over. That's the only way to end it, is just to simply just walk away.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, I'm proud of you, because it takes a real man to come to that type of acknowledgement. You know, some people are doormats to people because family, you'll just allow them to treat you certain ways that you know that they shouldn't be doing, but you have that respect there because they are family. And she definitely takes that kindness for weakness. So for you to come to that realization on your own just shows your growth. It just shows how you've grown from this situation, where you're not letting it upset you, you know, or get under your skin or anything. You're just over it. You know, this is the feeling of being over something, to where you want to put no more energy towards it, like at all, because you've already put too much. So it's just like, I just want to save the little bit of energy that I have left, because you have to protect it. Because if you don't, then they'll just drain it all from you. And some people are energy vampires, like never. You know, they'll just keep going and going and going and going, so you feel like you have nothing left, and you're giving up because you're exhausted, versus to just walking away. Walking away, you're not exhausted. Walking away, you're exhausted when it's like you're giving up. You're just like, I'm done, you know, and all of that. So I'm glad you didn't let it there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm walking. Yeah, glad to walk away from it. Yeah. But I will say, I didn't think I would walk away. I didn't think I'd walk away in the way that I did.
Let me tell. Because you hung out?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was willing to try and stick it through, but never before did I think that. But never before did the thought ever crossed my mind that my mother would actually try my patience.
Well, she sees the result.
This is definitely the result. I mean, I don't want to be petty, but I'm willing to give some choice words out of a good handful of examples. Just to give you a general idea on her state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first thing I decided to bring up on the call was my new job. At first, I thought she hadn't seen the call between the two of us, which she considered an interview, and I thought, so she wasn't spoiled on it. But then I heard, so she watched it. Well, that spoils the surprise. I was trying to find a good time to try and call her because I was feeling very awkward with talking to her and not sure which time is the best time to call because she's switching numbers every now and then. I'm very paranoid. She justified me saying that any time is a good time, which, fair enough, but at the same time, when you're changing numbers, kind of hard to keep track. And so I considered to break the ice with her because at that time, on Friday, I thought she didn't know that I had a job. But she did. She did know that I had a job. Which puts things into perspective. When Mom called me on Monday, she told, when I threw her the rope bridge of trust, which was putting the knowledge of the job on the line to see how much I can trust her in some of the things she says, whether they be stuff that I can believe versus things that are hyperbole that should be thrown under the bridge. When she said there was no good things that was happening with me being here, I thought, okay, so she's being selective with the things she's choosing to hear. Okay, burn the rope bridge of trust and leave her a rope. No. She knew that I had the job, but didn't consider it a good thing. Now, if it's there or not, if it's there and it does have a good amount of art supplies, like wherever our house is, I haven't asked where her location is, and I don't want to bother with asking for it just yet because I don't intend on going to visit her really anytime soon in the foreseeable future. I haven't planned for it yet.
Yeah.
But if it turns out that she does have that studio and she does have the materials, thank you. I'm glad that you were able to set that up for me. Granted, I'm not going to be at that studio for God only knows how long, but thank you for considering that nonetheless. But to put things into perspective, when I got my first paycheck, for everyone's information, I only missed 1 day of work out of what should be an 8-day work schedule for 2 weeks. And with that, even with just missing a day, the amount of money I got in my first paycheck is over double the amount of money I gained through commissions through my artwork throughout my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty sure you can do the math, but for those of you who believe that math is a hard subject, which I don't blame you, from a money side of things, you're telling me to give up a job that's offering more money that I've ever made in my life to do something which I'm not even guaranteeing money because not everyone's going to have the money to be able to ask for artwork, let alone want to ask for artwork at the moment. And I genuinely respect people wanting to keep that because it's their money and they decide what to do with it. No, I'm not going to give up this job. And just to throw a little bit of more fuel into the fire in this thing, for reference, the most amount of money I made in a commission was $70. That commission was for someone special, or considered with how I've talked with Sean over the past several calls I've had with him over time. Our relationship with him is good, and I know that as far as things are considered with the call now after the fact, it was all put behind a paywall and was advertised as, for those who are wondering how Sam Jr. or Sam II is doing, since if you are worried, here's a recording for between the two of us privately on how he's doing, how his situation has been, and I'm glad to hear that everyone who has heard that is glad that I'm doing well for myself. Thank you, everyone. It's very glad to know that there are people on the outside that see that I'm doing well. And why wasn't this the case with my mom? First things first, she went live as well, partway through the call. As a matter of fact, I can tell you this. The call started at 6:01. And the live started at around 6:30. Oh yes, Mom. I do know that you went live around that on the time when we were on a call with each other on Monday. How do I know that? Well, I'm going to leave that open in the air. But suffice to say, there are many ways how I could have heard that you were live and heard the live stream through the phone. You should be able to come up with the how. And from what I heard, as I kept hearing, as I got ready for work, making breakfast and all that, you promoted the call between the two of us as a tease. For those of you who want a bit more of the call, who want the full call, here, donate to my Cash App, and I'll give you the full call from there. Post it on like a private video of sorts, lock it behind a paywall. You teased them with just several chunks of the call here and there. You're baiting people in with information. And what is very bad about this move is that if done improperly, people are going to think that you're baiting them in with information that they want to hear, only to give them edited information later. In other words, some people will call it a bait and switch, others would call it a scam. Please do not do it in this way again. Not because I disapprove of it in any form or fashion. I've seen games in the game industry that have done that, and one in particular that was released last year became well known for all the wrong reasons. And secondly, because I find it very revolting, to put it blatantly, that my own mother is stooping to this level to do this. That was just the minor reason, folks. What's the major reason? The nature of the call themselves. With Sean, the call was good. Both of us were speaking very kindredly, catching up on things, seeing how things were going, stating how I felt a bit uncomfortable about things here and there. I'm still holding out some hope. I'm open to conversation, and I'm hoping to be on good standing with things and be able to give her good news and be able to talk with her like mother and son without that, not without that awkwardness, but moving on from that awkwardness.
Agreed.
But I will not approve of things being done that are meant to be done in private, especially since I might invoke Streisand effect by saying this, but there's a particular detail in stream that on our stream that I personally want to keep as few details and as vague as possible on, because if people look into it very deeply, then a whole other can of worms is going to spring out, and I do not want things to get even more blown out of proportion than they possibly could.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm half proud of it and half feel ugly about it because it was basically a no choice because no one else could do it. Now, moving on further into our Friday call. When I tried to talk to her a bit further on the AI, I pressed the question to her. I tried to ask her, do you know how much information it takes to even make a somewhat good synthesization of someone's voice? In other words, I prodded her on something that should have been a rookie mistake. Now, everyone should know at this point that I am a very intelligent person. I don't like to admit it, but everyone else that I know pretty much agrees. So I'm willing to say that it's not out of pride that I'm a very smart person. That intelligence doesn't come out of nowhere. Sure, I have teachings in school to help me with that, as well as some knowledge from the various amounts of media that I've consumed over the years. But I also gained that knowledge from both my parents. I know my mother is very smart. Say what you will about her nowadays, but she is an intelligent person. Very cunning to get herself out of harrowing situations that everyone else would succumb themselves to and look back on. But there are times that really make you question if she's the mother to be hyperbolic, if you will, next Stephen Hawking or Einstein, or if she just fluked some of the most intelligent things that she's ever been able to pull off. Because from where I stand, it seems as if she's not even considering, she's not even that conscious about how things run on the internet at times. So, everyone, if you don't know much about AI, buckle in for a little bit. I'm about to give you a crash course. So, how does AI things like AI art, if you will, and as an artist, I don't consider it art. I basically consider it just a machine-generated image, or AI voices work? Well, they require samples. They require subject matter. A lot of it in order to compose the somewhat brilliant but incomplete things that you see. Even nowadays, it takes hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of data, millions of subjects of information in order to make a pretty good piece nowadays. And even then, they come with their imperfections that the human hand can execute with no problem. In terms of art, in terms of voice samples or voices, well, how do you think those people who make those funny videos with Presidents Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden do it? They have all the information they can on YouTube or on the internet from all of their speeches as president. It's right there for them to make use of, to be able to feed through a system to synthesize their voice into something that is a replica of. Not perfect. You can still hear artifacts of some tectonic plates that are still scratching up on each other, but it's still pretty close for the common person who doesn't know about it to be fooled. It's one of the reasons why, as I've heard, people in Hollywood are scared of its potential, because there's hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, of some actors who have their voice out there. Now let's compare that with me. There is, being generous, at most 2 hours or 3 hours worth of content that have my voice. Do you think that it's possible to make an even close replica of my voice, especially when it's at natural shifting between bass and sometimes baritone vocal ranges, even to the point where I can even mimic some characters, and when I was a bit younger, I can even closely mimic feminine voices?
Yeah, your voice does change.
it shouldn't be accurate. It shouldn't be accurate enough for people to be fooled. So actually verbatim. But if you remember the moment, can you tell me what day it was when I did it? Can you tell me where you and I were when it happened? Can you tell me when one of the men she was with the man she was with at the time when we whom we were living with at the time, Justin, and his daughter Maddie were when it happened? She asked me those things. TLDR for people who are trying to understand, like, what was she asking? She wanted me to go into autistic detail on what exactly happened in that moment to recall. Now, I don't want to call my mother a liar, and I do not want to say that she is actively lying about some things.
No, it's fine. I'll do it for you. I'll do it later. I'll call her
okay.
liar, but you go right ahead.
But I even told her on call that there are times when the pain of things are so great for trauma that people forget it to try and get rid of the pain. Fragments of that pain remain, yes, but the entire thing but major details that people don't consider important are omitted from memory. But she told me that she considered that, oh wait, so you remember that I beat you with an extension cord, but you don't remember the exact details about it. Sounds like someone planted that idea in your mind. Not verbatim, but that was basically what she said. So let's talk about how my mind processes trauma. It sounds joyous when I say it, but really, it's a sad mentality. So, here's how I describe it from my perspective. If something traumatic happens, but it was in an isolated incident that doesn't precede anything else, I only get the general beats of what the location was, the rough year and rough age I was when it happened, and the details of slightly harsher but still fair punishment.
No, absolutely. So back in the day, even myself, I was raised that way. When I got punished, I did get punished with belts, and things like that. But I was never beaten. I only got punished when I did something wrong. And it had to have been something that I really couldn't come back from. Small things like spilling milk, dirty room, stuff like that. I didn't get a whooping for anything like that. But because that's what they call it, old school, whooping.
Yeah, a whooping.
A whooping. So, but you're saying that there was a time your father was frustrated with you because you had told him a lie. And
yes.
He asked your mom for a consultation and how the punishment should be, and she threw out the whipping, that he whip you, and so to whoop you instead of take away your video games whatnot. So it was due to her decision was for that to happen, not your father's, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
He actually reached out to her and how to deal with the situation. Something that should be surprising to people, considering that they were divorced, and the situation. Say my mom was a substance that was worse than oil, and my father was water.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think if anything, it shows that your father was telling the truth, that he did try to keep a cordial relationship with her, co-parenting.
That is correct.
So I feel like it shows that, because she says the opposite, but that shows structure, that he was trying to utilize the both of you as parents, this being a decision versus to just what he did.
Yes. So yeah, that happened, but nothing else serious happened after the fact. So I don't remember the date. I do know that that my dad and the person whom he was staying with at the time, as well as her daughter, were there at the time when it happened, but that's basically it. I don't remember the date. I don't remember the time. To contrast, however, I do know something that I'm able to note down, almost down to the near hour that it happened, because it preceded something else. and also because I'd also went through some things beforehand. So, to describe the scene, it was June the 3rd of 2015. It was me, my father, and the woman and her daughter that we were staying with at the time. But my father and the woman did not converse all that well on that sunset evening, and that was mainly because I think it was because the woman had found out that my father was also had a friend whom he was communing with as he was working up there at his job. I think jealousy must have been the thing that may have sprung up. If that's not the case, then I'm sorry to that woman. I hope you're doing well, and I hope your daughter is doing well too. But needless to say, I heard my I heard my father say sort of a, not shout, but a sort of a congeal in pain while I was in my room. I have very good hearing. I'm able to hear through some walls. So I went out to see what happened. I see my father holding his nose. He had told me before that his nose was experiencing some pain before that he had to patch up at the time. I don't know if it was. I'm from what I hear from my dad, it wasn't anything in particular. Just a nose pain surged up. But what I really hope didn't happen, and the thing that I perceived due to audio visualization and jumping to conclusions, was that the woman had hit my dad before she proceeded to leave the apartment we were staying in, and leaving with her daughter in tow. So after the situation happened, I went to sleep for the night. I was then woken up early in the morning on June the 4th, roughly at around, I think to this day, around 4 o'clock in the morning. It was, now people are wondering how the heck he could deuce that down to 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, in our apartment, my window looked out to Lake Michigan, and I was able to see that it was still very dark out, like it was still nighttime, but the moon and its reflection were very close to Lake Michigan. So it was about to become, so dawn was coming soon enough, but not that soon. That's how I'm able to tell roughly what time it was. Sounds very robotic, but when you have trauma in the photographic mind, it can paint pictures pretty much accurately to a robotic degree. So, what happened when I was woken up by security? Well, the two of us were escorted out of the apartment because we could not stay there because of what had happened and the situations that between him and her, and forced to leave that apartment due to that conflict. My dad and I were able to stay at a place with a friend that he had that lived in Chicago. I do not think this is I think it's the right location, but I do not know. But we stayed in a place that was down the street from Obama's. Leave out of the apartment that my mom, my grandma Frances, was staying in West Conshohocken. Go out to the living room to see my mom in handcuffs. That's your reason for how this moment stuck in my memory for so long. It was the start of a chain of arrests for my mom constantly breaking the custody order pretty much almost every year. And you want to know how these things, how my mom saying that the abuse and the stuff like that being made up, and I'm lying to her, and it all really hurts. Because when I was 12 years old, after that had happened, after seeing how low my grades were getting, I had made it up in my mind that her arrest had to have happened because of me for being a bad son. Because had I not said a dang thing about what happened to her, and basically getting into her mind that her son's in trouble, that he needs to stay away from his father, she wouldn't have gone to jail.
To see the rest of these interviews, go check out KOFI Coffee at SeanDavieWay Show. Again, at SeanDavieWay Show at KOFI. Whether you have the app or you just look at it on your Safari or internet browser, you could do it either way. I love you all. If you're interested, again, coffee, KOFI. Until the next show, I love you. Bye.